It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. Welcome to the world famous Dep Lewis Show. This is episode 6. This is your host Dep Lewis, and today is Saturday, November 12th, 2022. Coming at you a day earlier than usual. I promise to get this podcast out once a week. Usually going to be on Sunday, but sometimes when the stars align and the time is right and the mood has been set, this podcast is going to come out on a Saturday. We've had a lot of good video game happenings this week. I've been playing some cool games. I've been seeing a lot of games. It's been there was a pretty huge release this week, so the video game world has been popping. So I'm here today to talk to you about some of that stuff. So first order of business is I'm going to tell you something to do, which I know you appreciate that. You're like, damn, I just put this podcast on and this motherfucker's already telling me what to do, giving me instructions. Haven't even listened to him for a few full minutes yet. And he's got demands? I can't believe this, but that's how our relationship's going to work here. I'm going to try to keep it as healthy as possible, but this is how it's going to work. You need to go follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. You need to like, you need to subscribe, you need to rate, you need to review, you need to comment. That's a new one. You need to turn on notifications, and you need to tell a friend. You need to email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. So once again, I usually say there's 6 things to do, but now there's 7 because you need to leave comments. You can tell me to fuck off. You can tell me I'm awesome. You can tell me some game you like. You can tell me some random fact you know. You can talk shit on somebody else you know. Whatever you may please, just leave a comment. I heard this week that just having people talking in your comments about anything is useful, even if they're talking shit on you, because it's going to help bump the algorithm up. So please go comment on any of my videos, positive or negative, and I'll be eternally grateful. So thank you for being here. You can listen to full episodes of the Dep Lewis Show on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube, on Patreon, on Buzzsprout, and there's also more options on the Buzzsprout page if you so choose. So check out Buzzsprout. That's my podcast hosting site, so that's where it all stems from. But you can check out the Dep Lewis Show on all main podcasting platforms. And then you can also find clips on YouTube and TikTok, so that part's been really fun. I've been getting some good views on my TikTok and really appreciating that. Hoping that'll eventually bring some ears to the podcast. But if not, that's great too. Just getting another channel to show off this great Dep Lewis Show content. So it's been fun. I got my clips ready to go for this week, so it's been a good process. So we're here. We're going to start with some notes from last shows like we always do. This show's about becoming a great podcaster and getting better every time and learning from my prior mistakes. And last week, the 2 things, I had some pretty dumb ones, and they both came in the rap music section where I referred to a ratchet as a racket. So 21 definitely does not have a racket. He's not playing tennis. He has a ratchet. So if you run up on him, he might shoot you with that instead of trying to play tennis with you. So that's one thing. And then I also said her loss was 16 hours long, and I really just meant 16 songs, and it was an hour total. So her loss, I messed up twice on you, so it ends up being my loss. So joke's on me on that one. But that album's still been pretty good. I've still been bumping a few of the same songs. I don't know if I've heard every song yet, but my hype on that has died down a little bit, but I do like it. I've seen some cool visual stuff too. They've done some performances, and I think I saw a music video from one of the songs, so it's been pretty cool. So still check out that album, Her Loss. Maybe I'll speak correctly on it this time, so hopefully. But the main thing we're here today, we're not here to talk about what I did wrong. We're not here to tell you about more things to do. We are here to talk about video games, the things we all like to play. And I've been playing some good ones this week, so we're going to start off with the main event. As a fire escape cast would call this, we call this the main meat. And that game, as you can guess, I'll give you 3 seconds to guess in your head what's the best game right now going on. 1, 2, 3. Splatoon 3! Still game of the year for the Dep Lewis Show 2022. The Splatfest is currently going on. I played some this morning. It started yesterday around 7 p.m. Eastern, which was crazy because I got up in the morning. I had the day off for the great veterans of the world, Veterans Day. I got up to play Splatoon. I was hoping the Splatfest would be up and rolling, and I get in there and it just looks normal as can be. Pretty lame. But I got some matches in, which was always fun. And then I waited till 7 p.m. I actually even caught a nap yesterday. Got up, got ready for the Splatfest, and it's been awesome. So Team Grass is going strong over here.
There's been multipliers going on. I got a cool shirt going on. I've been trying to figure out my gear options. So that's not related to the Splatfest, but I'm still trying to figure out my gear options. I got to find my best setup so I can fully optimize my character. But the Splatfest is really cool. I've been taking some screenshots. The whole town looks cool. The lobby looks cool. And it's been really fun. I was getting my ass kicked a little bit earlier, but still loving the Splatoon, so you can play that until there's some time on Sunday where it stops, and I really can't remember when it is at this point, but I feel like it's either 4 or 7 p.m., so I think there's a good bit of the day where you can get your splatting on, and I encourage you to do so, and that's probably going to be the main focus of my gaming for the rest of the weekend, just to take advantage of that, take advantage of some of the experience, try to get those, some of the unlocks they got going on, and then I also want to try to figure out my gear, so I tried to last night read about figuring out my gear, of like trying to understand how all the abilities work. It has a main slot and 3 side slots, and apparently you can change all of them or customize all of them somehow, but I don't know if the skills stack. I don't know if there's a certain setup I should be working towards. I know the 3 main skills that I like the ink resistance, ink refill and then I like ink refill, and I like speed in the ink, and then there's one other one I like for your main weapon. But I need to look into some more of that, but I think it's just going to take me doing some trial and error. But Splatoon's been great. I was thinking some other random thoughts I've thought about this game, of just like trying to describe it to people. I would want to tell you that the moving around in this game is just as fun as the shooting. And I think it's like almost half of the game. You know, this game's a shooter, but you can walk with your character, or you can swim through the ink. And I've noticed that I hardly ever have my character walking, so they have skills to improve your walk speed, and I'm like, man, I would never be doing that. So I hardly spend any time on my 2 legs. I'm usually squidding around in the ink. So I think that is probably the proper way to play. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not an expert. I'm not a pro. I'm not the best Splatoon 3 player in the world, but I think it's a sound tactic, because you're constantly swimming, and you can move quickly, and then you're also refilling your ink, which is crucial, because that whole game is about having ink, and you got to have your ink in your clips. You can blame those splatlings, you know what I mean? So I think that's what makes it so fun. Even when you're not shooting or engaging with enemies, you're still moving around the arena, and you're still trying to ink up the arena. So I think that's really what sets this game apart from other shooters in particular, and just makes it really fun, and something I didn't necessarily expect with it to be such a big part of it. And then another comparison I was making this week, just from hearing some of the menu music and just seeing, some of the styles, some of the way the cuts are made to the characters, and just what they're going for. It reminds me a lot of, just thinking about it, like old Tony Hawk games, of like just really nailing like a cool, it's just like a kind of a cool, it's not too cool, they got some good music, it sounds cool, and I think it just really hits that same kind of vein right pretty perfectly. And I mean that as a complete compliment to this game, of just something that I'm liking from the overall style of it. I know the games are very different, but I think they're hitting a similar mark with what they're going for there, and I think it contributes really well to the game. So Splatoon 3 has been really great. I'm gonna play a good bit of it this weekend and continue to be playing it next week, so I guarantee I'll be talking about this some more, and you'll be hearing about this game towards the end of the year, especially when I do my official Dep Lewis Show Game of the Year for 2022. I've been sort of thinking about that, and I think I'm going to do it as soon after the new year as I can. So whenever that Sunday or Saturday would fall for the podcast, once the new year is started, I'm going to make it a priority to record the Game of the Year podcast then. So that'll give me the official full year to play anything in the backlog. I think pretty much everything's coming out. I think the last big release of the year maybe is Callisto Protocol, and that's early December, and that's not even something I'm necessarily going to play. So I should have all the information I need, besides a few games possibly. I mean, Pokemon's coming out. I'm not sure. There's that game called Pentiment coming out, so there might be a few things I want to try to maybe see if they're going to add to my list, but mainly I need to be playing some old contenders of this year to see if where they're gonna move in the rankings. So that's those are my thoughts on the Game of the Year. I just wanted to bring that up real quick. So Splatoon 3. One last thing about Splatoon 3 is I found out they have 3-color turf wars. I think I found about this on a video or online somewhere, and I haven't found it in the menus yet, and I haven't really wanted to try it, but because it kind of seems intimidating. But It's pretty cool. They have 3-color turf wars. So if you don't know, the main turf wars are all it's just 2 different color inks. It's one team versus the other, 4 versus 4. I don't know if there's 3, if it's it's 12, or it's 12 people on there, or if it reduces the amount of players on your team. But it definitely has three different colors of ink competing for supremacy on the stage. So that seems pretty cool. So Splatoon 3, you're really, really great. I heard people talking about the amiibos being sold out and missing the pre-orders, and I'm one of those guys too. I wish I would have pre-ordered one. So I think they're like $16, and now they're hard to find, and now the prices will be jacked up. And I heard these people saying these are some of the cooler amiibos with the most detail on them, and so it's just really great, because I do sort of like amiibos. But I also found out that there's like a museum you can look at online. I believe it is online. I don't know if you can go to it in person, but you can see the whole collection of amiibos there. So I need to check that out at some point, because it would be cool to see all of them. It's kind of like it's kind of like the Smash thing where they give you a trophy. You could just see all the trophies in one spot and probably go look at them and zoom in on them on some website or on something Nintendo runs. So that sounds kind of cool. So the next game I've been playing, I've been making some progress on this. This is a 2022 game. It's Cult of the Lamb. The Blood Moon Festival is currently going on right now. I've been collecting pumpkins. I think I'm really kind of getting close to being able to do the Blood Moon ritual. I just defeated a level, and I think it was like 20 pumpkins at the end of that, and I believe I need 30. So I've been really, really in a good groove on Cult of the Lamb. I just beat I beat Leshy since last week. So I beat Leshy, kicked their ass, or his or her ass, I don't know. And that was one of the main objectives. So I kicked his ass, and then I've already beaten the first boss on the second arena, or second level. So, and his name was Gusion or Gushin. But I actually defeated him pretty easily, and I got some footage of that, so you might be seeing that right now. Me kicking his ass with a left and a right, and an uppercut and a jab and a bam. Take that, Gusion. I don't even know how to pronounce your name, but I'm kicking their ass. And then I think I stopped right after that, but I had to sacrifice. I got a ritual where I can sacrifice a follower, so I had to let Bert go. So sorry, Bert Chrysler. You had to be sacrificed for the good of the cult. I've started adding last names to my new cult members' names. So originally I was just doing like Ari and Bert and Santino, and now I've started adding the last names. I can't even remember who's the most recent ones I've done, but I was thinking about doing Jeff Gerstmann, but I was trying to stick to comedians. But so I'm still rolling with the comedian basically the comedian names on there. I need to get a Tim Dillon. I did Chrissy Chaos. He was the most recent one I did. I got this crazy looking guy, so I named him Chrissy Chaos. So Chrissy Chaos is running around. And I thought it was cool that once I defeated Leshy, I got a trophy that I could build to display in my in my town area. And I went to try to build it. I thought it was something I automatically got, but you have to actually have the resources to build it. And so when I went in there to look at it, I don't have enough resources, but I think that's something I want to get built so I can, I can just remind my town folk of the kind of gangster shit I'm doing out here. Is like what I'm doing to keep this cult going. And a big statue of Leshy and her ass up there, or his ass up there, showing my supremacy against these dungeons would be pretty cool. So Cult of the Lamb, I think if my memory is serving me right, the Blood Moon Festival I think ends probably this week, maybe on the 14th. I think sounds right, but don't quote me on that. So I need to try to get those pumpkins so I can try to do the Blood Moon ritual, because that would be cool. So if you're looking to play some of that, maybe you need to check in on Cult of the Lamb pretty quick. But you can also just play this game at any time because it's very fun. So Cult of the Lamb, definitely going to be a good contender on the 2022 Game of the Year list. Another game that I've been playing. So this has been a great week for video games. And I'm just trying to play whatever. And I'm just taking some notes when I play it, or marking some things in my mind when I play these games. I only have one story game going right now, but all these other ones I'm playing them because they're fun as hell. And there's a lot of cool things coming out. So this next one I'm playing is a multiplayer focused game for me mainly. But I've even thought in the last couple of days, hey, I might fire up this campaign. It's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Still been very fun. I've been playing some Kill Confirmed and Team Deathmatch. I feel like I've been doing worse in Kill Confirmed. I'm still using my M4. I finally have 5 attachments on it, and I'm thinking about the point where I need to reassess my 5 attachments and try to pick something better. I don't have any really cool camo yet for it. Still liking the shotgun. I played that map that I was there was a map last week that I was talking that I liked or seemed was really cool. It's like the highway map. And then I heard some people during the week talking about how they really hate that map. And then I just played it again last night, and I was trying to capture some footage, and I was getting worked, and I was like, man, maybe I realized what they're talking about here, but I think it was just because I was getting my ass kicked. But I ended up playing another match to get some footage and actually did a little bit better in that, so that's the footage you'll be seeing this week of my Call of Duty play. But it's been really fun. I think the footage I captured shows the intro cutscenes, which I wanted to highlight. They're pretty cool. I don't think this is the first time Call of Duty has done this, but I think it's just really, they just do a good job, or a good or a better job of it than they have before, if they have, of it being noticeable. But when the levels start for the multiplayer matches, it has like it's like a faux cutscene basically. So it's like giving you a purpose. You're either dropping down from a helicopter into a city to start helping, and there's like an attack, or there's just different little scenarios. So it's like just this little short 20-second or 15-second little entry thing is basically like the setup to your mission. So it really doesn't mean anything. It's just a cool touch for the I don't know, just good presentation is what I would say for this game. It's really, really on point. And I was thinking those things will probably get old, but I've still been seeing them and thinking they're cool. I think it's just a neat little thing. I've still been trying not to sprint around the map, and I think that's been helping. I have been having some okay scores. I still haven't really felt like I've caught a groove of this game yet. Like I've been getting worked more than I've been working people. God damn it! I meant to look up. This is something. If you want to be a loyal listener, and email DepLewisShow@gmail.com and let me know if when you're playing this game, you have your gun in your hand, and there is you're wearing a watch on your wrist, and the watch is backwards. And I meant to look up this week why that is. And I think I heard once in passing, possibly that it like allows you to look at the military time easier, but I really don't know. That's my only guess at this moment. But I meant to look it up for this podcast this week, and that's like the last thing I didn't do. So I want to know if that's real. Like, why is the watch upside down on the left wrist of these warriors in Call of Duty? It has to be some reason. It has to be based on some type of fact or some type of preference that people use. So I'm going to find that out for you next week. This is going to be a note to myself as I'm doing this podcast to look it up, because I don't want to look it up right now. But that's just a weird thing, and if it is real, I think it's pretty cool. But I'd like to know why, because I don't think they're doing it just for stylish looks, because that would be kind of silly. So I feel like you'd want to look at it the normal way if you didn't have some other grand reason. I think you just want to be able to know what time it is while you're blaming your M4 on soldiers or whatever you're doing. But Call of Duty has been really cool. I'm trying to think what's going on with that. I'll probably just keep playing the multiplayer this week. I could see myself starting the campaign just to see how that goes and try to get some trophies on there. But other than that, Call of Duty's been Call of Duty. And actually, this week, the 11/16/2022 is the official release of Call of Duty Warzone 2.0. So that's great for all you free-to-players out there, or just anyone who likes Warzone, the Battle Royale game type for Call of Duty. And this is coming to PS5, Xbox Series S and X. It's coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and PC. So you can play that thing everywhere. And it being cross-platform, you can all be battling each other, so you can get your friends together and jump in that Warzone. So I know that's something people are probably looking for with the release of the new Call of Duty, but it's just a little bit later. So 11/16, you can get that Call of Duty Warzone 2.0. So Call of Duty's been great. I think that game's been firmly planted on the Dep Lewis Game of the Year 2022 list. I actually did a reassessment of that this week, just under my little notes tab, and I think I have 7 definites for the top 10, and then I have a short list of other games. There's a few things that I haven't played or would maybe like to try that could fill those 3 spots, or take over. But I think 7 spots I have right now are pretty solid, and I'm trying to figure out the last 3. So I still got a good month left on the year or so, and there's still some games to play. So we'll see how that goes. But it's been fun to keep up with that. So I wanted to give you a little teaser on how that Game of the Year is looking, and then there's no teaser on what the top game is. If you listen to the show, you should know what the top game of the year is by now, and if you don't, then that's okay. You'll learn it probably later in the episode or next week again. So it don't matter. Alright, so the last game that I've been playing this week that I'd like to highlight is my main story game. So this is the main story game of the Dep Lewis Show right now. This is the game that I need to complete to be a real gamer before I can play some other type of story game next. And this game is called God of War. It might not be the one you're thinking of. This is God of War 2018. This is the one that previously came out on PS4. I'm playing it on PS5. I never beat it back in the day, so I figured it was appropriate to play this before giving Ragnarok a shot. So I played some this week. I've actually, this might be TMI, but I started, I have my new profile for Dep Lewis Show, and I was like, man, I'm going to start a fresh God of War save on here so I can capture footage and just get the trophies on this new profile, blah, 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 blah. And so this week I go to play, and I just automatically fired up my other, my old profile save, which was a little bit further in the game, but not even really that much further. And I made some good progress. I think I'm farther in that game now than I've ever been. So I'm just going to continue playing on there. So it's not like I haven't seen all the content. It's not like I can't capture footage from that same profile. So I was like, man, why am I even worrying about this? I'm just going to play the file that I'm rolling on. So I made some good progress. I'm actually in the mountain part. So I'm actually like in the mountain, in the caves, in the dark area. So Atreus is having to shoot those little blue jewels or crystals on the wall to give us some light in this thing, and it's getting a little bit spooky down there, but it's been really cool. One thing, when I was playing that restart file, I noticed Atreus was talking to Freya, which I guess is the witch. I only know her as the witch now, but I've learned through other stuff her name is Freya, so I hope that's right. So maybe I should just call her the witch, but he asked her if she believes in Ragnarok, and I thought that was interesting. I didn't pick up on that the other time I was playing, and I just meant to see if that comes up again. But he asked her if she believes in Ragnarok, and we got past the Black Breath is where we were, and so we're finally making it up. I looked at where I am in this game just to see how far I was. And I'm maybe only a quarter of the way through the game. There's a lot of missions left, so there's still a lot of fighting to go on in the God of War. I plan to play some more this week. Maybe even this weekend. But it's been really fun. I finally bought some armor. I bought some new armor, so I got some kind of heavy defense armor, which I thought would be kind of smart. And I've upgraded Atreus a little bit. I've been getting a lot of skills upgraded, which is really cool. I've almost not maxed out, but I've maxed out for my level some of the spots. And I feel like I've been better at the fighting, and the fighting's actually, I'm enjoying the fighting a lot more. So it's been fun. I'm really, really liking this. I'm hoping I can keep rolling, and I plan to do it this week. And I've been enjoying hearing some of the Ragnarok stuff too, because I've been hearing some really, really high highs from that game, and I really haven't been hearing any lows. The worst I kind of heard is that, hey, it's kind of just more 2018, and 2018 is a really cool game. But Ragnarok came out last week. Came out on the 9th, the Wednesday. I listened to Firescape. They were talking about it. Dan Reichert was saying he wasn't really that into it. Mike was saying kind of the same, and they were both saying they were playing Bayonetta 3 right now and kind of leaning more towards that when they're going to grab a controller. So that's just some interesting information out there. Cause I'm pretty sure Dan liked 2018 a whole lot. Dan was complaining about the game being a little bit easy for the puzzles. He was saying that he wishes Atreus would shut up sometimes when you like walk into an area. He'd be like, hey, why don't you grab that rock right there? Or hey, doesn't that tree look suspicious? Or whatever. He just said there's too many external clues to help you out with the puzzle when you might not need it right away. And he was saying it was annoying to him because he wanted time to figure it out. But I'm thinking myself, I'm a noob. I get stuck at these puzzles. I've done these puzzles a couple times when I've restarted and still forgot. So I was like, man, that sounded kind of cool to me. But I thought it was interesting. They were bringing up they were playing Bayonetta 3 instead, because I could understand not wanting to play more than one like similar style game at a time. So jumping back between those, there might be some different like battle mechanics or whatever. But Bayonetta 3 hasn't been really skyrocketing up. The reviews have been getting like 10 out of 10 praise, but it's been getting good praise. So that was interesting to hear that they were liking that a little more than the new God of War Ragnarok. And then back to it being easy. Dan was complaining about that, and then Mary brought up that Atreus. A lot of the times climbing now, he'll be ahead of you climbing, and he's just showing you exactly where to go. So it kind of takes out all the mystery on like how to get up a surface or whatever. But from my experience with God of War, it's pretty linear with the climbing so far that I've seen. You sometimes do have to just swing your camera to see where they're trying to make you go, and then you can hit the circle button to move. But I don't know. I don't know if I would recognize those things as negatives if I was playing this game, but these people have probably played, more, more of the prior God of Wars, and obviously they're playing Ragnarok right now, and I'm not. And they were also saying, this is one thing that I was kind of scaring me away, not really, but they were saying there's more skill trees and things to level up in Ragnarok even than 2018. And I think I've even said on this podcast before that 2018 was a little overwhelming with the skills and, things to put on your sword or put on your axe and your armor and how to upgrade and what to craft. And I've barely just been getting a grasp of that in 2018 where I'm feeling a little bit comfortable with it. I've actually just kind of started a little bit just saying fuck it and just putting the new higher level thing on there and just letting it roll. But trying to make some progress so I'm not having all outdated gear and weaponry. But there's a lot to take in, and them saying that God of War Ragnarok has more of it I don't know. It's a weird thing to think of because it's really a big complaint. That's a nitpicky thing if you think about it, because that's coming from the perspective or standpoint of someone playing a lot of games and, trying to quickly get through that possibly, or, they're playing multiple games at a time. But if someone's just solely focused on this game and they're really, really into God of War, they'll probably appreciate the amount of customizable stuff and things they can upgrade and change. I think the whole world of video gamers are just a little bit spoiled, and I'm including myself here, of just having too much to play, and maybe it doesn't let you fully appreciate what these developers are putting in the game, or why they're doing it, or we don't give it enough time to realize that it's cool. So might not be a negative, it might be, and if that's the way you play games, then that's the way you play games. So I just thought it was cool to I just like knowing the information. I like hearing the different viewpoints on these things too, because then I can try to figure out how it's going to apply to me. But hopefully I'll be playing Ragnarok at one point. In the perfect world, I finished 2018. Ragnarok somehow goes on a little bit of a sale, which I guess it could. It could be $10 off or something. I don't know. Then I pick it up, and then I love it. And it could be, who knows? Could be added to the official Dep Lewis Show best game of all time list, which I would like to get to at some point. I have a running list of my favorite games of all time, and with my recent love for Splatoon 3 going on, it's really had me thinking about my list and seeing if Splatoon 3 could have a place on that list. So that's just a teaser. I like doing lists and rankings, so we'll probably hear that next year, sometime when there's not a lot of releases going on and I have time to sit around and think about my favorite games. But right now I'm in the midst of playing a bunch of shit. So this week, I've been playing Splatoon 3, Cult of the Lamb, Call of Duty, and God of War 2018. I see myself playing all these games again next week. Maybe some additions. The only ones I could see myself not playing could possibly, I don't know, I'm going to keep playing Splatoon. I almost called it, I don't know, I almost said it really stupid, but Splatoon 3, Call of Duty. I need to try to get some, I got some friends that have that game, so I need to try to link up with them, try to get some matches going with some people I know, so we can really start owning people. And Cult of the Lamb and God of War are kind of the two games I'm trying to make some progress in. So we'll see. I'll be really happy with all these games. I feel like an overflow of good games right now, and I have different ways to play them. On my Switch, on my PS5. I didn't play any Vampire Survivors this week, but I have that on my computer. But shout out to Vampire Survivors. We'll talk about that a little bit later, because that just came to Xbox consoles, which is really exciting for those people. And that's going to wrap it up for the first section of this podcast. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and talk about the video games I've been seeing out there. There's been a good bit of stuff going on this week. I have kind of a good little list of things to talk about, so I might need to run through some of them quickly, but we're going to get to it. It's going to be great. So sit tight, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Dep Lewis Show episode 6. Last week, I called this the mid section, and I didn't appreciate myself calling this section mid, so we're just going to call this the What I've Been Seeing video game section. This is what I've been seeing out there in the video game world. There's been a lot going on, which has been really interesting. I have kind of a long list here, so I probably should try to run through some of these quickly, but, you're here to listen, so I'm here to give you some information. So the first thing that I mentioned in the first section was Vampire Survivors is now on Xbox. Console release on the 10th, so 11/10/2022. This came to Xbox consoles. This is $4.99 to buy still, but it's also on Game Pass. So if you're a loyal Game Pass subscriber, then this game can be in your queue and downloaded in just a matter of moments. And I just highly recommend this game to anyone who hasn't played it. I really can't think of someone not to recommend this game to unless you just don't like the style of it, of the monster characters. But they're very cartoony. I can't really imagine that turning anybody off. The game is very simple to play. It's very simple to understand, but there's some layers to it, which is fun. And I guess there's no multiplayer in this game. Maybe it could be the only negative for selling it to somebody. But this game is very fun. I highly recommend it. You should buy a copy for yourself and maybe buy one for a friend or something that's that good. So Vampire Survivors, $4.99 to buy, or play it with your Xbox Game Pass subscription. So I'd say you should check that out. The next game that came out this week is something that I kind of now want to buy. I probably shouldn't just buy it right now because maybe it'll go on sale and I have other stuff to play. But I think I'm already sold on wanting to buy this, and this game is called Sonic Frontiers. This game came out on the 8th, so November 8th, 2022. It's developed by the Sonic team and published by Sega. This thing came out on Nintendo Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, and Microsoft Windows. I've heard the Nintendo Switch version is a little bit lagging in the tech aspects of how it technically runs. I've even heard on PS5 that there's a lot of this game is a big open world, and they're saying that there's a lot of pop in with the assets when you're moving around, and then Sonic is very fast, and Sonic actually gets faster over the course of the game because there's like an experience build up or whatever, like an RPG mechanic where he gets faster, and it says later in the game the pop in of the assets around the world are even actually kind of worse, but everyone's saying that this game is firmly like a 7 out of 10 game, and they're saying it's very ambitious, and they're saying if they make another game like this, Sonic Frontiers 2, that it could be like a 10 out of 10 game. So this game seems like it's throwing a lot of things at the wall, but it's actually coming out looking pretty nice, which is very surprising. And it seems like this game is definitely, Sonic fans definitely are really into this, and it sounds like it's going to get some maybe non-hype Sonic fans into the mix too. There's been some comparisons to Shadow of the Colossus, which I haven't played that game, but also Breath of the Wild. And some of the footage I've watched does look Breath of the Wildy. Even the way your character breaks down into a particle kind of before he goes into an area. Even some of the scenery kind of looks Breath of the Wildy, and obviously it's open world. I've also heard that I heard Brad on Nextlander compare it to Death Stranding. He says the world looks like Death Stranding. That was one kind of complaint that I was hearing, that the grass in this, it looks, I don't know, it just doesn't automatically mesh up with what you think Sonic world would look like. It looks like more like the Death Stranding world, which is a little more realistic, but it's got Sonic zooming all over this whole thing, and it seems crazy, and it seems worth trying, and it seems cool, and I do like Sonic. Not like a huge Sonic fan or anything, but I like some of the Sonic games, and I think Sonic's cool. I like the Sonic movie. I still want to see the second one. I got that on my list of things to watch. And just really surprised. This is a full price game. It's $59.99, and I don't know. I think it's gonna. I think it's safe to say this will be on the back half of a lot of people's top 10 lists this year. I feel like that's kind of the feeling I'm getting for it, where it's not necessarily going to be everyone's favorite game of the year, but it's going to be on people's list, it seems like. So I mean, that's pretty good praise from this kind of year of games, of Sonic Frontiers, and coming out and being pretty positive. The negatives I've heard have all come with caveats of like, oh yeah, there's pop-in, but it's because it's such an open world and it's so ambitious and there's so much to do, and they kind of just threw the whole kitchen sink in here, and there's no loading. And so if there's no loading, then the actual fidelity on the world's gonna suffer. And it's like, man, okay, I get you, and I don't know, it's cool. And Sonic has mass appeal, so it's like, it's crazy to think they could have not. I was about to say struck gold, but Sonic's already struck some gold, but they could strike another level of gold here if this is really successful, and then if they can improve on it for another release. So it'll be interesting to see the love and praise and like for this, and where this stands on people's Game of the Year lists. I mean, kind of check out the trajectory of this game as it goes forward. So Sonic Frontiers, go check that thing out on mostly all platforms if you'd like to. I'm kind of tempted to buy this on my PS5. I'm a little leery to buy it on Switch just from some of the performance things I've heard, but I don't know. Sonic on Switch seems cool, and I've been trying to buy more Switch things, so there you go. Hear me waffle right in my head, but I don't know the answer right now is ultimately the truth. Sonic Frontiers. You should check that out. Something else that came out that came released only for Switch this week because it's been on other previous platforms, but this was Sifu on Switch. Sifu is a kung fu game, so that's why I think it's called Sifu, because it sounds like kung fu. This game is $39.99 on Switch. This is a kung fu roguelite. The little description for this game says it's an action beat-em-up game from a third-person perspective. It features over 150 unique attacks. When the player dies in the game, they are magically resurrected at the spot where they die, and they have aged several years. So, I only heard about this game previously when it came out on PlayStation, and I know it got a lot of praise, and this game actually just came out earlier in the year, which is surprising because I feel like it's been out a little bit longer. But it was initially released on February 8th, 2022 for Microsoft Windows, PS4, and PS5. I guess it was Nextlander I watched play this. It might have been Giant Bomb. I might have watched Giant Bomb play the PS4 version, but this game is cool. You're a kung fu master, and it's a roguelite. So you start off as this guy, and you have your kung fu moves. So that's what they say the 150 unique attacks are, and you're just making your way through. It's just like playing like Isaac or Dead Cells or something like that, but it's all in the third person. So it's like a third person action. So it could look like you're playing God of War or any third person game. Last of Us, like you have a character like that, but you're doing kung fu stuff, and it's a roguelite. So when you die, you'll be aged. So that was the whole part. Like it seems like some of the checkpoints in this game, like you were thinking like Spelunky, where you can start like on the second level. It sounds like they have that mechanic in this game as well, where like the first area is whatever, the second area is the club. And so they were talking about the different ages when they got to the club. So their character, if you're really quick, you're 21 and you're at the club, that's probably going to be pretty good for your life. You're going to probably be making it kind of far. But I think it was Brad was saying he was 60 when he first got to the club, so he wasn't probably going to make it too much farther past the club area or whatever's next beyond the club. So this game, I don't know if I would play this game, but I like I just think it's interesting, and I would maybe try it. I don't know if I would maybe buy it on sale or try to check for it on my PlayStation, but it just seems cool. Roguelites are one of my favorite types of roguelites are one of my favorite types of games to play, and I didn't immediately think this one was a roguelike, or the style of it just is a little bit different, because usually it's like more of a side-scrolly kind of thing for these kind of games. But this is actually a third-person game, which makes it cool, and you're doing like fighting game mechanics to get through these guys. So you're just walking up to dudes, and you're putting your dukes up, and you're kicking them and all that kind of shit. So might be something you want to check out. It just came out on Switch. I haven't really heard anything about how it runs. This game actually looks a little graphically better than I thought it would. Just on the PS4 version, just for being what it is, it actually has some kind of cool looking graphics. It just must be, it's just not like a big open world or anything. It's like these pretty linear levels. So they were able to pump some more graphics in there is what I'm kind of sussing out. And this might be cool. So if you want to play that on your Switch, check it out. I really can't believe that can be on people's Game of the Year list, but February was this year, so you'll probably be seeing that on some lists. So that was Sifu. So you heard it here. Go play some Sifu if you'd like to. Another game. This week has just been a lot of cool things that I'm just putting in my memory bank of things that I want to put on my wish list or possibly go buy. And this is another one. This is Return to Monkey Island. This is a point-and-click adventure game developed by Terrible Toy Box and published by Devolver Digital. I did some researching on the Monkey Island series since I haven't really played them, but this just looked cool from seeing the trailer that I saw. It got me interested in this. But this is a 6 Monkey Island game, and this was the first. And this game has already been released. It was released on Mac OS, Switch, and Windows 9/19/22, so back in September, and then it was released on Linux on October 26, 2022. So it's just getting its PS5 and Xbox Series S X release on the 8th of November. So Monkey Island is now out on next-gen consoles. And this is the first Monkey Island game by series creator Ron Gilbert since Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge, that came out in 1991. And the first ever Monkey Island game was released in 1990. This game is $24.99 and is also on Xbox Game Pass. So that's another cool thing. If you have the Xbox Game Pass, you can go try this out. I really just like the whimsical looking nature of this game, and the style seems cool. I've never really played a point and click adventure, but I could see myself liking that. I like story driven games, and I like the kind of cartoony style of this game, and I like to read some, so this could be something cool to play at some point. I'd like to check it out. I just don't have it's just not going to be high on my priority list, but I'm putting it in the memory bank of something to look at. This next game is kind of like the two, but I also kind of want to buy this game because it's pretty inexpensive. And this game is called Mini Motorways. This game was recommended to me by the great Volnus, many, many moons ago. And he was really hype on this game, and he played a ton of hours of this. And then I saw a streamer that I like, Alana Pierce. She posted a video of her playing this game, and it was like the first hour of gameplay. And I was like, hey, why is she just now playing this? Is there some reason? And I think she had just had not played it and was finally catching up on it. But then it also made me look up, if there's been anything new added to this game or new information, and there was. So on the 3rd of November, 2022, they added endless mode to this game. So endless mode, and they also added expert mode. So if this game wasn't hard enough for you already, you can go play expert mode. This update also came with a number of other quality life improvements, and it's free to download and is available as of 11/3/2022. So I guess this was just like a free update for the game, but it adds 2 extra modes to it, which is cool. The description for this game is it's a game about drawing the road that drives a growing city. Build a road network one road at a time to create a bustling metropolis. Redesign your city to keep the traffic flowing and carefully manage upgrades to meet the changing demands. This game is currently $14.99 on Switch right now. I think it's on other consoles as well, but this one seems like it would be a cool Switch game. That's where my friend Volnus was playing it. And it's just about managing a city and all the roads and the cars and the traffic, and they're going from home to work. And you have to build bridges, and there's water, and you can knock down a tree. And the visual style of this game is very cool. They're like very kind of like muted colors on the screen. It's like it is very map-like, and it seems like this game would be kind of relaxing. It's really walking the line probably between relaxing and hectic, because there gets a lot going on. But like it does just when you're watching someone play this, it's very calming to watch them, and it's interesting. So I watched Alana's video for a while on this, and I think finally I've seen this game after having Volnus tell me about it a lot. It makes me want to pick it up, and it being only $14.99 seems like a smart purchase. So you might hear me talking about this game sometime soon. I don't know if this game came out this year or not, but that would be interesting to know. So I'll take that as a note to possibly bring up next week. I'd like to know if this will be on people's if this can be in contention for people's game of the year list or not. I don't know. I feel like this game might have been out having that. I think I said it was out on. I think this game actually has like a mobile version for your phone. So who knows when that was out? But it'll be interesting to find out. So check out Mini Motorways if you'd like to. If you need a new game to play. Something else was Bayonetta 3. That came out on the 28th of October. So I've still just been hearing some. I've still been just seeing and hearing some content. I mentioned in the first section that Dan and Mike from Firescape were playing this over God of War, the new God of War Ragnarok, and so I actually watched Dan stream some of this, and it really does look cool. I was surprised that it's almost like a Mario hub where there are different levels. So like like Mario 64 where you jump in the paintings. Like this is not saying it's like that, but you jump into different levels, and there's different things you're doing. Like you're either in third-person action as Bayonetta, or you're in third-person action as the other main character, which Dan was really hating on. I can't remember her name, but he was just saying he hated everything about her style and the way she acted and her personality. She was an annoying character. And then I also saw there was like a third person, like a side scroller section level where it looked like Axiom Verge or Metroid or something. So just pretty cool. More things I didn't know about this game. So I've been recently adding Bayonetta 1 to some of my wish lists. I have it on Xbox, but I'm thinking about picking it up on. I think it was just on sale for $14.99 on PlayStation. So maybe I'll go pick it up there and play through Bayonetta 1, because I still keep hearing as a consistent thing that people think this is probably the weakest out of the 3. But 1 and 2 are very highly regarded, so they're not saying this game is trash by any means. They're just saying it hasn't surpassed the first 2 releases for the Bayonetta series. But I think it looks cool. I don't want to play Bayonetta at some point, so I just wanted to point out that it's out there and that it is looking pretty good. Something else this week, we're going to finish up with some Nintendo talk. Nintendo had an Indie World Showcase on the 9th this week, so they showed a bunch of indie games that are, sometimes they drop one right immediately or they have ones coming out. So one of those things that dropped immediately was Rogue Legacy 2. Came out on Switch on the 9th, and that's a game that came out for Xbox, and I don't know if there was any other platforms, but I know it was an Xbox exclusive earlier in the year, maybe PC, and I played some of that. So Rogue Legacy 2 is really cool. I've talked about that in a prior podcast, but it's nice. It's always nice when they have these Nintendo Directs or Indie Worlds, and there's something that's released that same day. Especially if it's something that's been successful on another platform that a lot of people are excited to go buy this, especially if they don't have the other platform. So, Rogue Legacy 2, I would recommend that. There were some other cool things that they mentioned. There was a whole bunch of games. I think the biggest one from what I've sussed out is Sports Story, which comes out in December. This is a sequel to Golf Story, which was a highly regarded game on the Switch. And Sports Story incorporates more sports besides golf. I think it says it has almost every sport in the game. The art style of this is kind of Stardew Valley looking, and this is an RPG. So I have Golf Story. I never really played it on my Switch, but this is something I would like to possibly try to play. I really like. I think I like all the elements of it. I just haven't ever really sat down and tried to play one of these. But I do like mostly all sports. This game seems like it'd be perfect to play on your Switch. And so you need to check for that December Sports Story. I think a lot of people will be buying that game. And it's a good point now just in my head that's a late season game that could get added to people's top 10 lists this year. And there was one other game that I thought that looked cool. In particular was a game called Have a Nice Death. It seems like a roguelite. I saw actually a trailer of it. It does have kind of like Hollow Knight, Metroid-y kind of looking vibes. And it comes out on March 22, 2023. It's going to be $24.99. I think this game has all the trappings of a game that I'm going to really love, like a Binding of Isaac or like a Dead Cells or a Spelunky. I think it kind of looks like it could be in that category. I really like the style of the way it looks. It has like a little, kind of like a cutesy Grim Reaper kind of dude, so it's not all the way hardcore. And then I think he sips a little cup of coffee in the end of the trailer, like in the logo or whatever. So they're really tugging on some heartstrings over there with me. So you should go watch that. The Indie World Showcase was really cool. They're always fun to watch. There were some other games in there too. There was a game kind of similar to Unpacking that people were saying is interesting, but I just never got into Unpacking. But go watch the Indie Showcase. You can watch some people talk over that, I believe, or just watch the full stream on Nintendo's YouTube channel. I didn't actually get to watch this live, but I definitely caught up on it later in the day, and then they break down all those trailers into individual trailers you can watch. So you can go watch all the different trailers for the announcement separately if you'd like to on Nintendo's YouTube page. So I recommend you go do that. And the last thing we're going to finish off with is a game that comes out in the upcoming week, and that game is Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. Hooray for the Pokemons. They come out 11/18/2022, and those are the two newest versions of the Pokemon world. I was looking at some prior sales figures for Pokemon, since this is supposed to be a giant release for the Scarlet and Violet. And as we get closer to the release, I keep thinking more to myself that I want to buy this. I always wanted to buy Violet just because I think the cover looks cooler. I think I should buy Scarlet because it has the lady trainer who looks cooler to me, and there's the guy trainer on Violet. I don't really have a preference between the Pokemon. I kind of do think the purple cover, the Violet cover Pokemon looks cooler, but I don't have any problem with the Scarlet cover one. So you could see the Dep Lewis Show playing this game. I don't know if I ever completed Sword all the way, which I probably should do, but I think this game is going to implement some of the mechanics from Pokemon Arceus, which I played earlier in the year. And I think I would really be missing some of those mechanics if I went back to play Pokemon Sword, so it kind of has me thinking I'm going to buy this game. So you can catch me on a Pokemon hype train possibly next week. Possibly for next week's podcast, I could be playing some of this, so we will see. I was Team Grass on the Splatfest in Splatoon 3, so it would be kind of cool to go Team Grass for this game, just to stay in unison with my Splatoon love. So we'll see, but I think this game will be selling gangbusters, and I looked up the sales figures from I wanted to know the most popular selling Pokemon games of all time, and sort of a surprising but not surprising thing was the most popular selling Pokemon game of all time was the first one released in 1996, and that was Pokemon Red, Green, and Blue, and that mug sold 31.05 million copies, so 31 million copies is the bar for Pokemon, and they did that right out the gate. So I guess that is why the series has been going on for so long, since 1996, and has been so successful. But they still haven't hit the highest of highs of that time. But it was a different world back then, And Pokemon is still very, very dominant, so it's not like they really lost anything, but it's pretty interesting to see that their first game was their most successful by about 6 million copies. And so their first game was the most successful, and you would maybe think, oh, they're falling off, but actually the second most popular selling game is their most recent release. So prior to the Scarlet and Violet, I think it was 2019, that sounds right, it could be 2018, Pokemon Sword and Shield came out for the Switch, and that sold 24.27 million copies. So number 1 and 2 for their sales figures is their first game they ever created in 1986, and their second most popular game is their most recent one created, which was in 2018 or 2019. So Pokemon still holding a lot of cachet out here in the world, still has a major grip on the video game industry and just on, I guess, pop culture in general, with Pokemon being such a huge thing, and this video game component just moving the units. And the third most popular selling, just right under Pokemon Sword and Shield at 23.73 million, was Pokemon Gold and Silver. I was reading a lot of people generally consider this one of the best. For love-wise instead of sales figures-wise, this was originally released on the Game Boy Color, so that was just think of a great time for handheld gaming back then. That was some heyday of some handheld gaming, especially when Color got brought to that Game Boy. It was blowing people's minds across the universe. Number 4 selling game was Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, sold 17.76 million copies. This was the Nintendo DS version from 2006. So the Nintendo DS was a mammoth of a console and a seller too. And then 5th was Pokemon X and Y, sold 16.58 million copies. This was the first Pokemon game published on Nintendo 3DS and the first Pokemon in fully 3D polygonal graphics. So X and Y was definitely a shift in the series, but wasn't one of the higher selling ones. Well, it is top 5 because there's been a lot of Pokemon games. I only highlighted the top 5, so none of these top 5 should be complaining, and I shouldn't be feeling sorry for them either because they're moving those units, moving those motherfucking millions of units. So my prediction for Scarlet and Violet, I think Scarlet and Violet is going to sell more than Pokemon Sword and Shield, so I think we're going to get over the 24.27 million range, but I don't think we're going to get over the Pokemon Red, Green, and Blue range, which is 31.05 million copies. So I'm gonna predict, I don't know, I'm thinking 25 million. I think we're gonna get right over it. I think this game will be better than Pokemon Sword and Shield. I think the hype level is there because it's always there for Pokemon. I think, I don't know. I think the sales figure from Pokemon Sword and Shield being so high, and this game being, a fuller experience and has more in it, and it kind of is. I'm trying to think, it's a pretty big showcase for Nintendo. It's for the fall, It's a big time November game. One of the last games Nintendo is releasing as a full price game for the year, so I imagine Pokemon's going to be doing well, and a lot of people are going to be buying this for Christmas. I think it's interesting that some people buy both copies of this game. I think that would be pretty baller to do if you were really a big Pokemon baller. You buy both copies of this game and you play both. You're pretty badass as a Pokemoner. But so check out for the Pokemon 11/18/2022. I believe that's next Friday. I believe I have work off, so you could see me playing this. You could see me streaming it. I love the fact that I can stream from my Switch now. So I've been doing that with Splatoon and Cult of the Lamb, and I've never been able to stream a Pokemon before. So I think it's going to be a novel thing every time I get to do that. So we'll see. Maybe catch me all aboard the Pokemon hype train next week. So that was it for this week for what I've been seeing. Those are the highlights. So just to go back over them real quick, Vampire Survivors is now on Xbox. Go play that. Sonic Frontiers is out everywhere. That game looks really, really cool. I definitely I'll definitely be owning this game at some point. I don't know when. Sifu is now on the Switch for $39.99. Check that out if you want a Kung Fu roguelite. Return to Monkey Island is now on next-gen consoles, Xbox Series S and X, and PS5. It's also on Game Pass. That's a point-and-click adventure if you'd like to try that. Mini Motorways has had some new modes added to it in the last couple months, so if you're a Mini Motorways fan, you maybe can get back into it. Or if you've never played it might be a great time to go buy it. Mini Motorways is $14.99. Bayonetta 3 is out there and looking great. You should go check out that Nintendo Indie World Showcase to see see all the great games that they're showing off there. And then we got Pokemon Violet and Scarlet coming out 11/18. So the video game world is really, really popping right now. There's no shortage of news. There's no shortage of games. There's no shortage of announcements. there are still some shortages of consoles. You still can't find those if you really wanted to for the holidays. But maybe that'll be corrected one day. Maybe it'll not. They keep bringing up how those consoles now have been out for 2 full years. So Xbox Series S and X and PS5 have both had their 2-year anniversary. And we barely have any games that come out exclusively on those consoles. So it's just a new world out here. I'm not complaining about it, but I'm just pointing out what it looks like. So we're going to have one more section of this podcast. We're going to come back for the miscellaneous section, which is how we're always going to end this show. And we're going to talk about a few things. And then we're going to get out of here until next week. So, go take a break, do what you need to do, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 6. Thank you for coming back. Got a few things to talk about here to end the show. One thing I want to highlight that you should go watch, and then got some sports talk for you. I got to talk about 3 of my teams this week. I got 3 of my teams to bring up, so we're going to get into it. The first thing, though, I want to bring up is a comedian that dropped a special on YouTube. His name is Shaffir. He's got a special and it's called Jew. I just finished watching this special last night. It was like over an hour, which was pretty amazing because most of the times I'm watching a special, I don't want them to end, especially if they're really good. So this one being seemed like a little bit extra long than what you normally get was awesome. This whole special, he's talking about Jewish related material because Ari grew up Jewish and is Jewish, and you can learn a lot here, and you learn a lot here, and you can laugh a lot, and he's just making fun of everything. Ari is hilarious. If you don't know Ari Shaffir, he has his own podcast, and I think this special has millions of views already. He brings up the 1/60th rule for Jewish people, that if a non-Jew puts some ham or some pork into a vat of soup being cooked for some Jewish people, as long as the amount is not 1/60th, they are able to consume that soup. So he has this whole bit on that in the special, which is really funny. So that's a spoiler alert for something I just spoiled for you, but there's plenty more material in that special that's very funny. So please go watch Ari's special, especially if he's giving out for free. That's pretty amazing. He's putting it on YouTube for free. It's high quality. Help him pay for all those candles in the background, because I know that had to be into his budget. I wanted to know how much that cost while I was watching, but I can't recommend that enough. That was really not a pleasant surprise, but it was surprising that it was that good. I expected it to be good, but honestly, I didn't expect it to be that good. And that's not trying to slight Ari in any way. I just like to have tempered expectations sometimes. But go watch that. It's really, really good. All right, so now we're going to get into some sports talk. I got some good and I got some bad with my team, with the official NFL team of the Dep Lewis Show, the Carolina Panthers. Since the last time I talked to you, the Panthers got worked by the Bengals. It wasn't even close. Baker Mayfield came in at halftime. That was one of the worst games I watched in a long time. And luckily, I got to watch that taste out of my mouth with Thursday night's matchup against the Falcons. The Panthers donned their black helmets. They looked amazing. They looked tough as shit. They looked tough as nails. They looked like some Panthers out there. They beat the Falcons. Deontay Foreman had over 30 carries and over 100 yards. He was looking like a beast out there. My thoughts on that are, we got rid of CMC. And we haven't really skipped a beat with the running game. And I don't know. My only thought was maybe the Panthers' offense functions better with a big back like Deontay Foreman instead of somebody really, really elusive like CMC. I would obviously like to have CMC on the team still, but Deontay Foreman has really been making Panthers fans gloss over the fact that we lost our best offensive player. So it was really cool to see. On the somber note, the Panthers lost D-Jack. He's out for the year. He tore his Achilles, so the rest of the secondary is going to have to step up. J.C. Horn's going to have to go full Super Saiyan on the second half of the season, and we're just going to see. I don't even know who the Panthers play coming up next week, but we'll be talking about that. I'll probably get some pregame talk on that for the Dep Lewis Show next week, but it's just really nice to have the Panthers win, especially on a Thursday night. Got to watch the Prime broadcast. It was very cool, and I'll be able to check that out for a couple weeks now too, since I got my Prime subscription, and I'll just have a carefree time watching football Sunday. I got to do my fantasy football team, And my boys already got a dub, so it's a great time. So, way to go, Panthers. Very proud of you getting that dub. It's a very enjoyable game to watch, and need to keep it up. Steve Wilkes is on the right track to getting him a head coaching job, so we'll see. And the Atlanta Hawks, they play the 76ers tonight, so we'll see how that goes. The only thing I want to highlight with them is they got their new City Connect jerseys. When I first saw these jerseys, I'm not really a fan of them. They're black with some cursive lettering on them that's in the color of peach. So like it's a peach color on the jersey. I think it looks okay. I don't know. I've gone back and forth on it. Immediately, I didn't think I liked it. Then I've been thinking I'm a little bit more of a fan of it as I've been seeing it. But I don't know. Sometimes it would be cool to buy one of these jerseys, but I don't know if this is the one. They had the MLK one last year, which I believe was the City Connect, and that jersey was really fresh. So I would definitely buy that one over this. But it's cool to see that they're doing this. All the teams have a version of this. So you can go check them out for your team and maybe go drop some bucks. I saw the store had, I think it was like a 25% thing going on like the NBA store or Fanatic. So maybe go check that out if you want to cop some new gear. And then the last thing I want to highlight from my sports teams, the official baseball team of the Dep Lewis Show, of course, is the Atlanta Braves. The best team in the universe, the best team in the galaxy, the best team across multiple universes, across multiple timelines, the Atlanta Braves, the world champions of the prior year. And they should have been this year, but we're not going to talk about it. Michael Harris won Rookie of the Year, so congratulations to Michael Harris II. He is the National League Rookie of the Year. And congratulations to Dansby Swanson. He won him a Gold Glove playing shortstop. And our pitcher, Max Fried, won him a Gold Glove as well. Basically, for the offseason, I've been on Jacob deGrom watch. I would love him to come to the Braves. I think he would fit in great with the dudes. I think he needs to come in and bring that 100 miles an hour and those 99s he throws so easily to our team. And I also think we need to sign Dansby Swanson. So I'm on the shortstop watch. Speaking of the shortstop watch, I saw Trey Turner could possibly go into the Phillies. And that makes me want to vomit. But we're going to see what happens there. If the Braves aren't able to sign Dansby, I would gladly welcome Trey Turner into the franchise. And if the Braves don't sign Dansby, they better as hell be signing one of those other top shortstops that are out there. So, shout out to the sports world. I need to figure out who the Panthers are playing next week. And I'll possibly watch some of the Hawks and Sixers tonight. And then the Braves, we're not going to be watching them until March. So March will be here before we know it, though. See what these Braves are going to do. Going to get another World Series. So that's going to be it for our show today. That's going to end the miscellaneous section. I want to tell you to go watch that Ari Shaffir special called Jew. It's really, really funny. And it's free on YouTube, so you have no reason not to go watch it. And we're going to go back into the me telling you what to do part of this show. So you need to go follow the Dep Lewis Show everywhere. You need to like. You need to subscribe. You need to rate. You need to comment. You need to review. You need to turn on notifications. And you need to tell a friend. And if you have any questions or feedback, you can always email those to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. That email box is open 24/7. Emails can come in and out of there whenever they need to. So go email them. DepLewisShow@gmail.com. Catch the full episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, and more on my Buzzsprout page. The clips are on the YouTube and the TikTok. And this has been fun as always. And I really, really appreciate you listening. Thank you for any downloads. Thank you for any listens. Thank you for any views. Thank you for any recommendations. And just thank you for being you and being out there. And I'll be back next week for episode 7. I'll be excited to do so. I got a lot of good games to play this week. And I look forward to talking to you. So peace out. Have a good week. And I'll be back next time.